Good morning. My name is Matthew Olson. I'm with Signalfire. We're a creative marketing agency based in Delavan, Wisconsin, just outside of Lake Geneva. Today, I'll be talking to you about down to earth social media for business. This is going to be an opportunity to learn a lot more about how some of the individual platforms can be a benefit to your business. I know 2020 has been an incredible ride. While last year I talked to you a lot about online reviews, I can definitely say 2020 would have gotten 1 star with a review of would not recommend. However, for some of you, it was an incredible business year. And let's take a look at how we can use social media to build on that fantastic year last year and get even more business for 2021. Some of the platforms that are out there right now are facing a lot of changes between COVID, civil unrest, politics. Oh, nobody wants to talk about politics. You have a series of platforms that can be super impactful for your business. And let's talk about some of them. Let's take a look at Facebook. By far the biggest platform out there, and the platform that's probably best connected to a lot of your customers. Some of the pros of Facebook are you're able to stay connected to people, both your previous and current customers alike, but you're also able to reach out to your future residential customers. Recruiting future teammates is a huge benefit, and it's easy to advertise on. Overall, Facebook has a lot going for it. There are some cons, though, however. The platform does change frequently. There are plenty of rules and restrictions, and it's sometimes tough to reach those business-focused customers. So Facebook, while it has a few areas that really succeed, some areas don't make the cut, but it's still a very important platform for your business to look at. Another platform is LinkedIn. And a lot of people have a misconception about what LinkedIn is. While most people know it for the job hunting and the overall networking capabilities of the platform, it's overlooked in the sense that it's a fantastic ability for you to connect to your future business customers as well as build your own personal network. Some of the pros for LinkedIn include the ability to focus on businesses, the ability for you to search and find people that are similar to you or may even be some of your prospects. You can connect with other businesses that have dedicated pages. But even more importantly, when you advertise on LinkedIn, you have the capability to hyper target your ads. And we'll get into some of those details later. LinkedIn does have some downfalls, though. It's very frequently overlooked as a business development platform, and it's easy to have your employees and everybody associated with your business have fragmented profiles or doesn't have everybody on the same page. Some of the best tools, though, associated with LinkedIn are paid subscriptions, and sometimes that can be a detraction. Another platform that we're going to be focusing on today is called Instagram. And I know for a lot of you, looking at Instagram really kind of is a bit of a head scratcher. But if you're targeting individuals under the age of 40, Instagram is going to be a crucial tool. Just think of how many homeowners and small business owners that you're connected with that are under 40. Instagram is a very popular platform. With some of the tools like Instagram Stories, IGTV, and their new Reels platform, there's a lot of storytelling capability on Instagram. Thankfully, Instagram, which is owned by Facebook, has some pros. You're able to combine your advertising efforts between Facebook and Instagram very, very easily. There's an in-app tool that makes things like image editing and video editing capable right there in the platform. You can easily organize your content and you can utilize hashtags, the little pound symbol and word that we've all come to use as both combination of sarcastic comment as well as ways to organize your topics. Those hashtags are a fantastic tool to reach new people you haven't engaged with yet. Some of the downsides to Instagram include sometimes it's difficult to get a customer from Instagram over to the website. Sometimes it can appear overly casual and not very business focused. And sometimes figuring out which hashtags to use or not use can be a big challenge. The fourth platform we'll talk about today is Pinterest. And for a lot of you, you're probably thinking of Pinterest, well, that's only for brides. Well, Pinterest has really grown in terms of a DIY platform and something that you can showcase some of your work on both easily and reach a lot of people. Some of the things that you want to look at with Pinterest are it's easy to showcase your projects. It's easy to have people click through from your pin to their website. Pins can be easily shared, and pins being when you post something to Pinterest, they call it a pin. And most importantly, some of the advertising you can do on Pinterest hasn't gotten popular yet with advertisers, so it's very affordable and has fantastic reach. Some of the downsides to Pinterest are it has a very focused demographic. If you're looking to target women between 25 and 50, this is the platform for you. If you're looking to engage with people outside of the demographic, it may not have the effectiveness that you're hoping for. Finally, it can be a little bit time consuming to get the volume of pictures or curated content, images that you're borrowing from other sources, onto your Pinterest board and start leveraging that to be effective. But that time consuming element of it can be easily overcome with a little bit of planning and a little bit of organization. One of the most important elements of social media is the ability for you to tell your business's story. Storytelling is a very important component to social media. A lot of times, everyone will get social media a little confused with the idea of, oh, we're here just to post ads or short messages. Not much thought is given to how can you put together your social media into a cohesive story. That story can make a huge difference in how you're delivering your message to your social media community. To give you an example, I was a Boy Scout. So sitting around a campfire and listening to stories was a huge part of what made some of the campouts fantastic. We had a scoutmaster that excelled at storytelling. And looking back in hindsight, I'm pretty sure probably about half of them weren't real stories, but they stuck in our minds fantastically well. They really added a rich tapestry to your experience while camping. Telling a good story on social media is very similar to that. Believe it or not, every day we are exposed to between 6,000 and 10,000 ads, each one of us. And for most of those, these aren't segments of stories. They're just statements. They're brash ways to get our attention, but the way our brains work, it doesn't hold our attention. More often than not, a lot of those messages simply drip out of our ear and it's easily forgotten as quickly as it was seen. However, storytelling offers a completely different component. Research has shown that you are 22 times more likely to remember a story over a statement. So when we go back to talking about that communal campfire and everyone sitting and listening riveted to our scoutmaster, it's going to stick with us far better than simply sitting down and him saying, yeah, there was a time I was in the woods and I came across a cave with a bear in it. I was only able to escape by rubbing his tummy. Well, that simple statement doesn't stick very well, but you weave that into the tapestry of a story and it's going to resonate with you and stick with you. And by the way, I think that story was made up. We're going to focus on looking at storytelling and social media in three primary components. The first one being how we can use storytelling to educate your customers. The second one being how can you use storytelling as a prospecting tool to engage new customers who might not be aware of you. And finally, we're going to look at how that storytelling component can be a crucial tool into recruiting new staff members. Adding to your team in recruiting is probably one of the most prominent and fast-growing elements of social media right now. Everybody's looking for great help, and social media is a fantastic way to do it. So we're going to get started with educating your customers. One of the biggest things that we've seen out of 2020 is just how prominent those DIY videos have become. Whether they're searching YouTube or watching them on Facebook or Instagram, learning how to do things themselves has been a popular trait. But as I'm sure you're seeing firsthand, that sometimes people trying to do it themselves doesn't always end up with the best results. So the question comes is, should you be doing your own DIY videos for your business? Now, no, we're not going to realistically tell someone how to plant a tree or a bush most effectively, although that might not be a bad idea. Those kind of videos can be a fantastic way to tell your story and how you bring a new level of expertise and experience to the table. So, should you be doing DIY videos? That can be up to you, but I wouldn't shy away from them. A good DIY video will not give away your secret sauce. It will not steal business away from you. What it will do is it's going to demonstrate your expertise and show the level of capabilities you and your team are able to bring to the table. And so as you start looking at this, looking at how you can tell a story about your business, showing topics like, oh, let's see, what's going to be the perfect depth for mulch surrounding a tree? Is there a good way to kind of get that perfect curve around edging? Showing those things are not necessarily going to prevent someone from calling you. It's going to show that you know some of the secrets to get it done well. And to give you an example of this, several years ago, a wildlife recovery company put together a small video answering a very, very simple question. What do I do if I find a nest of baby bunnies? This might sound like an overly simplistic question, but it's a question that ended up people asking all over the place. That video, posted only to Facebook, racked up hundreds of thousands of views within the first few weeks. Today has over 3.5 million views. It has over 17,000 comments and shares. You look at this and ask, why did that content succeed? Well, a couple things. It provided the answer to a question people most frequently ask, what do I do if I find a nest of baby bunnies? But then it demonstrated a simple solution in terms of why it was important to leave them alone and who to call to resolve the problem. You can see that even with that level of views on a very specific question, you can then turn and now look at what are some of the questions homeowners or other businesses ask of you. Can you put together a short, easy video answering the most common questions? So this can be whether it's insider tips, I mentioned mulching before, you know your business, you know the questions you're asked. Can it be those insider tips giving access or gateways to services? Or can you share opinions on what's the best type of perennial to plant on the north side of your house? What's your opinion on the right type of tree? Are you an autumn blaze fan or do you sink more towards the sugar maples? Expressing your opinion on questions that you're frequently asked is not going to limit people from buying from you. It's actually going to encourage them. You're going to showcase your knowledge, showcase your expertise, and showcase your willingness to share the information. This will give you a great opportunity to then further relationship and hopefully land that customer very near down the future. The whole idea of educating customers really kind of focuses on making your job easier. So a well-educated customer is going to understand the value and understand the benefits of working with you over time. The smarter you can make your customer, the better of a customer it will be for you in the long run. So let's take a look at another way you can use storytelling in social media, and that's prospecting. Even though you can have a stellar year, you're always going to be in the market for getting new business. And one of the biggest challenges with using social media is, well, how do I get new customers in the door? And that's where we're going to take a look at taking some of that education component and applying it to how can you reach people who may not have heard you before. Well, we can look at the simple idea of how do people use search engines and how do people even use social media? A lot of times they're asking questions. How well you answer that question will attract them as viewers and hopefully customers. So we take a look at looking at really addressing your customers' pain points. What are those common situations that you are always running into? Are you running into a prospect that has frost heaving on their paving stones, or you're having problems with animal damage to flower beds? Nobody loves to see grubs in yards. So you look at these different areas that are trigger points or points of pain for your customers and look to immediately address those. We're going to talk a lot about, putting together a video on that. Don't worry, we'll talk a little bit about tips on how to do that a little bit later. But in this situation, reaching out and prospecting future customers based on the challenges they face and the points of pain they encounter is going to be super important. One of the most important components of prospecting on social media is don't make it about you. Make it about your customer. Look at their points of pain. Don't look at your services. Solve their problems. Don't pitch your services. This is also a great opportunity how you can showcase that challenge and then demonstrate how you can solve it. And this is where it mixes in a little bit with the idea of how do you turn a prospecting ad almost into a case study. So you want to show the problem that your customers experience and show how the happy outcome made everybody even happier. Looking at that, you can then put that into an advertising plan on your different social media platforms. Is it going to be using your ad to pitch, yes, one more lawn maintenance service? You're going to sound like 100 others. Or do you want to specifically address a point of contention? How do I get these spotty dead spots out of my lawn? Sharing the story of how you solved the spotty dead spots in someone's lawn is going to have far better traction. So prospecting is an incredible opportunity for you to show your value. That demonstration of challenge and showcasing the happy outcome will make all the difference and make for a super effective social media advertising campaign. One of the areas that we also talked about was the whole idea of recruiting. Recruiting is probably one of the most in-demand elements of social media. If you've ever tried to hire people, you'll know that on Facebook, sometimes you have to jump through a lot of hoops. On LinkedIn, you actually have to almost buy ad space in order to advertise. These are elements that you can overcome, regretfully, by purchasing them, but it also gives you a more important opportunity. This gives you the ability to share the story of your business, share the culture within your business. This is going to be, again, using video or other forms of storytelling, really going to demonstrate how do you engage your employees? How do you treat them? What can they expect to see in terms of everything from equipment to environment to what is their morning experience like? There have been some fantastic examples out there. A good idea, especially given the industry, is really keep in mind who you're looking to engage in form of recruiting. If you're looking for labor or professionals, you may want to change how your video is approached. A great example is if you're looking to hire a labor team that is mostly fluent in Spanish, or Spanish is the primary spoken language with your team, record your recruiting video in Spanish. You can use subtitles for people who may not be bilingual, but it's going to speak more prominently to the individuals you're looking to attract. On the other end of the stick, if you're looking to prepare or present to more of your professionals, your landscape architects, things like that, make sure you're showing the environment they'll be working in. It's great to hear from existing employees in either sense. So a great recruiting video is going to make all the difference in terms of how you can start attracting the right candidates for your position on social media. We've talked about a bunch of different ways that storytelling in social media can get applied, but let's dig a little bit deeper. What does make a good storytelling social media post? So we're going to break this down platform by platform. So we're going to start with there's a couple of universal good ideas that you can have for a storytelling social media concept. The first off is everybody loves data. As much as it sounds interesting that a cool infographic or information that might be unique to your customers can really be interesting and engaging for people. For example, just exactly how much yard waste do you bring to a recycling facility? Or what do you do with materials after you're done with them? Getting information that gives the customers a behind the scenes look really gets excitement and interest generated on social media. Probably one of the most ubiquitous and well known ideas is also the before and after shot. Creating a good social media post with a before and after shot gives you the opportunity to use multiple images to showcase a project before, maybe one during, and one after the project is complete. Another really useful idea across all platforms is profiling your teammates. Employee profiles or team profiles really open up the personal side of your business and your brand. People love buying from people. And so giving your social media community the ability to identify and relate to the people that they will see during their experience opens up a door and personalizes your social media on a completely different level. Ultimately, the same can be said on the business to business side. In the end, people buy from people. People buy from people they like. The more you can show the personal side of your business, the more people will identify with your business. Ultimately, you also like to get a how it gets done video, and that can come in many different formats. Now, there are some videos that you can do that's like the team getting ready in the morning. What is it like to see all the different work crews getting trucks and equipment loaded and heading out for the day? Also, time lapse footage of what does it look like for a job site to be busy in a day, setting up a camera in the morning and letting it run through the afternoon to see everybody working in high speed motion really gives a good idea to your social media community of how things work. It also can set some expectations of what homeowners or other businesses can expect to see. So these are just some universal ideas, but let's dive into some of the specifics. Facebook. Facebook really does have a unique community surrounding it. People tend to comment faster. People tend to like or give other reactions to posts. And we want to build on that. This is generally referred to as engagement. The more you can get engagement on Facebook, people leaving comments, not one or two words, but if they leave like a sentence comment, the more they react, more than like, make sure that they laugh or love or even go, wow, in their reactions, triggers the Facebook's algorithm to give a better reach and better engagement with your social media post. Don't be afraid to ask questions on Facebook. Find out what is on people's mind. Get engagement, solicit information. Questions on Facebook ultimately create answers. And so you can be able to get a lot of information that might be helpful from a marketing standpoint simply by creating a post question. Always leave a good call to action, however, at the end of the post. So, for example, if you're asking, what fall colors were the best, or which trees did you think give the best fall colors? Leave your answer below. is a good way to start inviting additional engagement that will ultimately benefit and give more reach to your Facebook business page. Don't be afraid to give a peek behind the scenes, to borrow a term from the food side of things. Let them see how the sausage is made. Look at ways where you can show behind the scenes to see what it takes to everything from maintain the equipment to how people get ready in the morning or how long it takes to unpack everything in the evening. Showing individuals and potential customers the level of meticulous maintenance you provide or all the little details that go on behind the scenes increases the perceived value of your business and really demonstrates the level of professionalism that you're bringing to the table. Another great idea is don't be afraid to talk about hot topics. If there's a particular trend, either in landscape design or in a specific type of shrub or plant, don't be afraid to weigh in on it and talk about it. Businesses and individuals love to know the details. And so by sharing your insights and expertise, really gives people the ability to look at you as the expert and really want to get your opinion on other topics. So don't be afraid to look at something and have an opinion, industry related, of course. Some other ideas you can look at is giving suggestions or tips customers can do themselves. I know everybody wants to focus on being able to have billable work, but sometimes the little things that you can share for tips or ideas will do a great job in terms of building the rapport with the customer. It really kind of, again, positions you as the expert, and those insider or the landscaper's secret to a perfect trimmed edge, those are the kind of things that people really identify with. For example, you look at how some of your field technicians handle a weed eater, a leaf blower, and it's with a level of expertise and precision that most people can't even imagine. But showing the little tips and tricks surrounding that makes the value of your team even higher. When I say always include a call to action, I should probably mention that you don't always need to say, oh, be sure to call 1-800-555-1212. You don't need to put things like that at the end of every single post, but do encourage people to, hey, leave a comment with your ideas or suggestions below, or if you'd like more information, click the link to our website. By building some point of engagement and a call to action, it will give people the opportunity to move on the ideas they suggest or to contact you directly with ideas or different aspects to how you can help them. So Facebook really is all about generating that additional engagement. The more you can get comments and reactions and shares, the more you will get out of your Facebook business page. But what about Instagram? Instagram, as we mentioned, is a highly visual social media platform. So although we can't put a lot of text in there and we can't necessarily put links within the actual post caption, we look for ways to find that we can generate engagement with comments and reactions again. So what about creating a recurring image theme? So maybe we talk about Tree Trimming Tuesday or some other kind of recurring theme where you can specify your specific area of expertise and showcase pictures, videos, or other how-to ideas on a specific topic on a specific day. This allows allows your social community to look back to you on a regular basis to get more information from you and again, promote engagement. Don't be afraid on Instagram to create a graphic and visually show a most common question and answer, whether it be for what kind of hardscape trim do you recommend along a juniper bush, or all the way through recommendations on fall fertilizers. Don't be afraid to share that common question and answer in a graphic format. You may not be specifically endorsing a specific product or brand of fertilizer or building materials, but really share your opinion on how best it can be used. So as we look at some of those common Q&As, also don't be afraid to then turn around and share your culture, share behind the scenes. And with Instagram, you have the ability to share stories. They don't have to be posts on your primary area of Instagram, but you can post something called stories. These are kind of like little 24-hour nuggets that live on your Instagram account but eventually fall off. But it gives you the ability to have a more casual image and a more casual peek behind the scenes in terms of how your business operates. It's a great opportunity to shed some light on some of your team members or some of your operation processes that ultimately deliver value. It also gives you the opportunity to push that engagement on a different front. A lot of times, people will look to their Instagram stories feed as almost like a news feed on other social platforms. They'll scroll through it, get the information out of it, and ultimately it's almost like a form of entertainment for people. So, Instagram, don't be afraid to leverage those stories, but also look at one element of Instagram and other forms of social media that's being used to gather conversations together, and that's the use of hashtags. And a hashtag is generally seen as the pound symbol with a lowercase word or words all strung together as kind of a way of gathering conversations together. That hashtag can be anything you would like. What I would recommend with that is take a look at what's popular in your industry for other hashtags. You may find a way to connect with people who would not otherwise find out about your business, but you have a shared interest in one of the topics that's covered by a hashtag. So, how do you investigate a hashtag? What I recommend is if you see a really awesome post from either a competitor or someone else or even another customer, go ahead and click on that hashtag. It will show you a whole bunch of posts that are gathered together under that hashtag. It might give you some ideas on some great content. It might also open the doors to connecting with some fantastic social media community members. So Instagram, while it's popular with the under 40 crowd, is still an important component of your business's social media. As we talk about business social media, it's time to talk about LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is, as we talked about before, a very different creature to the other social media platforms. If LinkedIn had a set attire, it would definitely be in your suit and tie. This is where you see a lot of professionals and industry thought leaders looking to connect and build their networks. Where it's really helpful for your business in particular is it will give you the opportunity to build and connect with your commercial clients. Now, if you are a B2B wholesale nursery or looking to build a commercial landscaping presence, using LinkedIn gives you an incredible opportunity to connect with the people and the players associated with a business. So take advantage of that and don't be afraid to use your business LinkedIn presence, both your personal and your business, to chime in on industry news. It's perfectly acceptable to have an opinion on what goes on within your industry. You don't have to play it safe and walk the fence here. This is where we encourage you to pick one side or the other. More often than not, even if someone disagrees with you, they'll recognize you as a subject matter expert weighing in on this. This is where you can start making better connections and participating in ongoing conversations. The next item that's a good idea on LinkedIn is don't be afraid to get technical. Geek out. LinkedIn is a perfect platform for you to weigh in on a specific topic and flaunt your technical knowledge. LinkedIn can support both short posts as well as very long posts. And you would be surprised that sometimes on LinkedIn, a long post, sometimes even without a picture, can perform very, very well. If you can get the first line or two that specifically covers a topic that your colleagues in your industry are interested in, you'd be surprised how many read on through and read, even if it's 200-300 words long. You still get great engagement in LinkedIn. Ultimately, LinkedIn, like Facebook, really looks at comments and reactions to gain how well and how widely distributed the post is. Now, there's a cool advantage LinkedIn has when you have conversations like this. And if you have a personal LinkedIn account, you'll probably see this. For example, if Bob's Landscaping puts a post out there talking about the importance of keeping boxwood shrubs properly pruned in the fall, you may turn around and see, hey, Matthew Olson commented on that. So not only will everybody with Bob's Landscaping see that comment, everyone associated with me, Matthew Olson, will also see that I commented on that conversation. So you really start getting a first layer of exposure as well as a second layer of exposure with everybody else who's jumping in on that comment. So going deep, doing a deep dive into a technical subject is not taboo on LinkedIn. And sometimes it's a really good way to really cement the foundation as a subject matter expert with a lot of other people inside your industry. Don't be afraid to geek out with LinkedIn. Industry is really kind of one of the strongest points around LinkedIn. And so a lot of times people who are, let's say, for example, interested in your commercial landscaping materials may not totally understand or may have misconceptions about your industry. So on LinkedIn, don't be afraid to say, hey, you know what? Most everyone thinks hardscaping is limited to concrete products. Go ahead and dispel the myth. And it's also an opportunity to showcase if you have a specific product that you're favorable to or a specific construction methodology you're favorable to. Dive into it. Give the explanation. Don't be afraid to say why you have this opinion. Dispelling industry misconceptions can also position you as a thought leader or as a subject matter expert. So when people are looking at LinkedIn and looking for topics or looking for people to comment on topics, they'll see you as someone who knows what they're talking about. Ultimately, that's also what's going to drive interest in hiring your services. So LinkedIn is very much also about networking. And one of the things you can do, especially with your LinkedIn business page, is dive into your team. Don't be afraid to do a team profile on specific members, calling out their LinkedIn profile. You want the ability to connect and have others connect with your team members. Now, I know there's sometimes a concern about, well, if this other landscaping company tries to poach my guys, that's always going to be a concern. But you know what? Don't let it stop you from profiling and showing off the incredible team you have. Ultimately, anyone with another LinkedIn account can just do a little bit of research and find out who's on your team anyways. Don't let fear drive your social media strategy. Share your team, share their strengths, and really build the rapport with your wider social community on LinkedIn to showcase just how awesome your team can be. Probably one of the other topics, other social media platforms we've talked about, Pinterest, might seem a little counterintuitive to a lot of people. But this is where Pinterest can be really, really impactful for you, specifically anyone associated with the landscape industry. Pinterest users are dreamers, whether it be a DIY, custom distressed wood treatment in their bathroom, all the way through, this is what I'm dying for an outdoor kitchen. People who are on Pinterest want to see what's possible, not just what you've done. And so this is a great opportunity to use a Pinterest business account to not only showcase your case study worthy and your magazine cover quality projects that you've done, but also push the edge with it. What is a project that you really wanted to do that you did conceptual drawings of but never got to execute, this is a great platform for it. This is a place where, hey, if you've got an innovative idea, here's where you share it. It's also a great opportunity to help educate people who are looking and dreaming about it. It's a great idea to, as we talked about infographics before, people are hungry for statistics. They want to know more about your industry. They want to know how you're going to make all of these dreamy ideas happen. As long as you can demonstrate that visually on Pinterest, it gives you a great opportunity to get exposure for ideas that, hey, you've always wanted to do XYZ crazy retaining wall concept. Here's the opportunity to show it off because you know what? You just might find someone who has the right conditions and the right budget to pull it off. So with Pinterest, you have a whole ton of variety of ideas, as well as projects you've completed, as well as projects you've only dreamed of that you can put out there and promote. A huge advantage Pinterest has is that each pin you put out there can link all the way back to your website. So if someone is really interested in what they see, it's an opportunity to get them back to a place on your website where they can contact you and turn that dream into a reality. Social media also presents a fantastic opportunity in a marketing sense. You have the capability of advertising on the different social media channels. Now, a lot of people are familiar with advertising on Facebook. However, Facebook and Instagram are connected, and so ads that you build on Facebook can carry over to Instagram as well. Also, LinkedIn has a very robust and affordable advertising platform that allows you to hyper target individuals, whether it be by industry, job title, or even geography. One of the most overlooked social media advertising opportunities is on Pinterest. And Pinterest will probably give you the best bang for the buck for reaching out and connecting with those highly conceptual or big idea projects. So let's break some of these down. Advertising on Facebook, while some of you have probably done this already, just want to cover some of the high points. Facebook, you're allowed to advertise in a handful of ways. One, you can boost a specific post on your business page. And this allows you to essentially put money behind a specific post. You have the ability then to say, okay, Facebook, only show this ad to these type of people. And when I say these people, I'm really referring to people that you can assign to in a geographic region, anyone within 30 miles of my location. Or you can base it upon interest or demographic. So you have the ability to say, okay, I'm interested in only connecting with men 45 to 55 within 30 miles of my position. And then Facebook will then target the advertising to the people who fit that criteria. This can also work on the Instagram side. Because Facebook and Instagram are the same company, ads you place in Facebook can also be translated straight over to Instagram. So the advantage here is money that you put behind one can cover both. The same targeting principles apply to both as well. So a lot of times we get asked the question, well, how much should I spend? The good news with that is I encourage you to experiment. There are some advertising efforts that you can make that you may get fantastic traction out of 25 bucks. There are other instances where you're going to say, okay, I need to really focus on this group in this wide area. And you say, okay, let's put $250 or $500 behind this. So I encourage you to experiment with your budget, but also keep track of the performance of each effort so you can figure out the point of diminished returns. Because there's going to get to be a point where you're not going to see much different results if you spend hypothetically $200 or $500. Suddenly, if you start seeing the results be the same, you know, set with the lower budget. But what kind of ads or boosting should you do with Facebook? So we talked about boosting a specific post, but you also have the ability to place an ad. So the difference between a boost and an ad is a boost is specific to a post. So for example, everyone who likes your business page right now, when you put that post out there, they'll see it. If you boost it, it will then be seen by people that fit your targeting criteria as well. Well, what happens when you want to hit multiple targeting criteria? It doesn't make sense to turn around and boost 5 different ads. Anyone following your page will see ad to ad to ad, all backed up one to the other, and it doesn't create a really good user experience. You have the ability to then create Facebook ads that don't end up in your post. Those you can set your targeting criteria and essentially send out without it showing up in your business page's stream. This is a huge advantage for you if you want to experiment with different offers, explore additional geographic regions, or explore other targeting opportunities. So the advertising in that sense is different than a boost, but it also gives you a whole lot of flexibility in who you would like to target and how you would like to engage them. So what does make a good Facebook ad? Well, a lot of times you'll see people saying, well, you need a good picture, you need a solid block of text, and a really good call to action. All of these are completely true. But I'm going to let you in on a little bit of a secret. Static images are good. You really want to see results? Give them a video. Video ads on Facebook perform on average 65% better than static images. So this is where you're going to want to look at maybe a video you put together showcasing a specific team member or a group activity, or even looking at a specific service category. You want to put that video then and turn around and share it out as an ad. That way you have a video that is promoting your services, reaching a very specific target. Now, those videos promote better engagement and tend to have a better return on your ad spend than any other type of advertisement. That can also carry over to Instagram and be a fantastic ad vehicle there as well. So really looking at some of your options for advertising on Facebook and Instagram, you have a lot of opportunities. And they don't end there. You have other types of marketing via Facebook and Instagram, ranging from retargeting to lookalike audiences. And it's a whole deep dive into another subject matter. But if you're just getting started, looking at something like a boosted post and targeted ads will start getting you fantastic results. So what about LinkedIn? LinkedIn has an advertising platform that does extraordinarily well. In a lot of my previous discussions, we talked about how LinkedIn allows you to hyper-target. Now, that's kind of my own term for it. LinkedIn's targeting gives you the capability of focusing in not only on geography, but also industry type, job title, or even down to the specific individual. So it gives you a wonderful opportunity to create delivering the right story to the right people at the right time. So what are some of the LinkedIn advertising options? Well, you can look at creating a sponsored post, and this is probably the most popular and most effective way of advertising. When I talk about some of that hyper targeting in terms of geography, industry, and job description, there are a lot of finite tools with that allow you to focus in. So geography, you can focus it down to the county or the metropolitan area, and you can pick out multiple geographic locations. You can also look at industries. The industry topics are pretty broad in terms of that, but as you look at understanding who you are attempting to sell to, it starts getting you a narrower and narrower focus on who you would like to reach. As strange as it sounds, sometimes you do want to sell to the smallest possible group, people who are very, very specific in looking for your services. So let's also look at what LinkedIn can do in terms of targeting for job description. LinkedIn has a category or a listing of a variety of job descriptions, whether it be something common like a site supervisor or a foreman, or if you're looking for something broader like a vice president, or I want to focus only on people in business owners or the C suite. You can focus in on that. One of the advantages and potential pitfalls is you want to be able to focus on the decision makers, but also want to deliver a message to the decision makers that's going to appeal to them. So, as we look at building the right type of LinkedIn targeting, really take a look at the people who have said yes, or the people who have bought from you already, and start taking a sample of, what are some of their job titles? What are some of their industries? And start building a profile associated with that so you can start targeting your LinkedIn ads specific to people fitting that criteria. So, what is budgeting for LinkedIn? LinkedIn's ad budgeting works much in the same way as Facebook's. It's setting a specific budget and ultimately building a set of results based off that. LinkedIn does give you some fantastic metrics to measure the performance of your ads in terms of cost per thousand impressions, CPM, or the actual cost per click, the CPC, and gives you an idea of what exactly you're spending. Now, if you compare those numbers to Facebook's numbers, you're going to see that LinkedIn is a little more expensive on a cost per click standpoint. However, you're going to also find that the targeting associated with LinkedIn is far more precise, and the clicks generated through LinkedIn are probably far more viable of leads than you'd see through Facebook. Especially if you're in the business to business realm, this is hugely valuable. Understanding and executing the right targeting for your LinkedIn advertising will give you a fantastic performance. After you look at LinkedIn, we can start diving into a little bit of Pinterest. And as I mentioned before, Pinterest is a little bit of the sleeping giant of the social media platforms. While it's very widely used by that very specific demographic, women 25 to 50, it's also widely underutilized as a social media advertising platform. So you have the same capabilities, probably comparable to what you see in Facebook for your targeting capabilities. You can have sponsored pins. Remember, a Pinterest post is called a pin. You can have sponsored pins focused on very specific types of users looking for very specific items. Showcasing some of your dream ideas, case studies, and specific service areas is a wonderful time for you to explore that and push that out in Pinterest. Budgeting on Pinterest is a lot more friendly. You're going to have a lot more impressions and a lot more reach on Pinterest than you are any of the other social media platforms. And this is primarily because not too many people are advertising at this point on Pinterest, but that's going to change really quickly. So, looking at the different advertising options between the different platforms, the word that I would probably want to leave you with the most is experiment. I really recommend that you start getting in there and experimenting with the different platforms, the different advertising options, and start measuring on what's going to be most successful. How do you measure? That's a great question. Looking at your Google Analytics or other traffic monitoring platforms, you'll be able to get information that shows the traffic being generated either from Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or Pinterest. Understanding your Google Analytics platform and the best way to track those is going to give you fantastic insights into measuring the success of your social media advertising. If you're looking for more information on that, be sure to drop me a line at the end. We normally get a fantastic opportunity for you to ask questions of me, and regretfully, with this format, we're not able to do that. However, I do have a bunch of questions that we are most commonly asked, and I want to cover some of these because I think they're going to be super helpful. The first one is, how do I do video for social media? And while there's a ton of opportunities and methods you can go about. There is a very simple tool that we all have that will win the day for your social media, and that's your phone. The capabilities to capture, edit, and distribute video on your smartphone rivals a $50 or $100,000 studio from 20, 30 years ago. We encourage you to start diving in to use that. It's going to be the number one way for you to capture great video as well as dive into editing. Now, believe it or not, you can get remarkable video quality from your cell phone. And for social media purposes, you don't need to have HD or 4K quality video to make great social media content. So let's talk a little bit about your phone. One of the things I would always recommend is shoot your video horizontally. I know some platforms prefer a square format or a vertical format, but for the viewer who is looking at it, horizontal video shooting is going to work the best. You have platforms and apps that will allow you to edit the video remarkably well. The first one that I'd like to bring up is Clips. Another one is Splice. These are video platforms that you can download from the App Store or the Google Store very affordably. They will give you the tools and the flexibility to handle everything from editing, trimming out scenes, adding in scenes, putting pictures in place, even adding text, music, or even voiceover. The tools that are available on your phone, once you get used to them, and it's a very easy learning curve, will allow you to make phenomenal videos for you to use on social media. I always encourage you to export the video as well and keep a separate copy, because ultimately, while you're going to post that video directly to your social media platforms, so you're going to upload that video straight to Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, you still want to have another copy. A separate secret tip: it's always a good idea to also load those videos onto a YouTube channel so you can start building a library that you can use on your website or share out very easily. In addition, YouTube just happens also to be the second largest search engine in the world. So that really snazzy do-it-yourself video that you put together, throw it out on YouTube and make sure you can get the additional traffic from there too. Don't forget that it's very easy to get carried away and be a perfectionist with it. Don't get too much wrapped up in the details. You will always get better over time in creating social media videos. 6 months down the road, you'll look back on your first video and go, oh, that was awful. But you will get better with every time. Perfection just might be your biggest enemy at this point. One of the other questions we get asked frequently is, can I schedule my social media posts? And absolutely, there are tools available to you, some free and some paid, that allow you to create an entire social media calendar and publish posts on a specific schedule. This can be super easy, especially for your team members that have to wear multiple hats. So if the person in charge of your social media is also in charge of bookkeeping, also in charge of HR or other services, it's going to be a huge time saver for them to be able to schedule multiple posts in a short amount of time. So imagine only spending an hour or two on social media each week, scheduling the posts once you have the pictures, video, and content all laid out. Probably the best tool I'd recommend for that is called Hootsuite. There's a free platform that will allow you to manage multiple social media accounts through this single platform. It has a scheduling tool and even some performance measurement tools that will allow you to schedule and manage your social accounts relatively easily. It has a pretty easy learning curve, and there are some fantastic tutorial videos that will allow you to dive in very well. Probably the most key element of success for scheduling your social media posts is creating a content calendar. And a content calendar can be as simple as a 30-day calendar you have handwritten out to say, on this day we want to talk about this, on that day we want to talk about that. But it gives you the opportunity to visually map out all of the posts you're going to be putting on the different social media channels. This will give you the chance to better plan and better organize your social media, but also give you the opportunity to get ahead of the game in terms of gathering the content and preparing pictures, video, and other components ahead of time so your social media can smoothly flow out on a good schedule. Nobody's expecting you to be there at 7 o'clock every morning to get the perfect LinkedIn post or 5 p.m. every evening for your Facebook post to reach the most people. You'll figure that out over time, but most importantly, you'll be able to have a scheduling tool that will send it out on time and on target. Probably one of the other questions that we get asked the most is, how much should we spend on social media advertising? And that's a very good question. And of course, this is going to be different for every single business. Don't shy away from it. Just think back on how much did you used to spend on yellow page advertising? Sometimes hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a month just for a printed ad to appear in a book. Let's flash forward to 2021 and look at social media advertising. You're going to be spending a fraction of that amount and reaching far more people under far more ideal situations. So don't be afraid to start experimenting with $50 per post here, $100 per post there. Look at it as a solid investment and probably one of the most effective marketing expenditures you're ever going to make. So while the answer is going to be a little different for every business, I encourage you to open your wallet a little bit, start spending, start experimenting, and you're going to start seeing results very, very quickly. Thank you for paying attention to the presentation about down-to-earth social media. I would like to thank the iLandscape educational team for allowing us to present. I sincerely hope you got a lot of useful information out of it. I also recognize that I would love to be able to answer your questions and be a resource for you. If there are questions that we didn't answer or you would like more information on, I'll be happy to answer your questions or go into more detail. You can email me at matthew@signalfire.us or call our office at 262-725-4500. Go ahead and ask for me, Matthew, and I'd be happy to help you out. As a special thank you for sitting through our presentation, we'll be giving away a $1,000 marketing audit for your business. To sign up, visit signalfire.us/iLandscape. On March 1st, we'll be drawing a business name to reach out and start conducting the audit. We hope it'll be useful and an incredible help. Yeah, hopefully we'll get to see you at iLandscape in 2022. But in the meantime, on behalf of my team at Signalfire, thank you, and we look forward to hearing from you.